Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of 2021 meeting dates was published in the Hunterdon County Democrat and the Easton Express Times on June 3rd, 2021, and posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall. Action may now be taken. Please join me for the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move forward with the roll call, I'm just, Natalie's going to speak a few words about our member of our historical committee, new and very enthusiastic historical committee member who passed away unexpectedly this week, or last week. 36, I think he was.
Oh, gosh.
So this past week, it was with great sadness that the Historical Committee learned of the passing of their committee member and friend, Joe Brennan. Joe was recently sworn into the committee and very excited to be a part of the revival of the house. Joe came to us with an extensive knowledge of historical antiques and fine arts. Joe spent many hours in his short time with the committee painting and decorating the second floor of Solitude House. He began the transformation of the second floor parlor and dining room into an inviting Victorian space with pieces that represent the decor of Lewis Taylor's period. He had many great ideas for the home, outdoor market, and many other initiatives, and was looking forward to sharing them with the community. Joe was also leading the effort of the Tisco Outdoor Market and had plans to collaborate with the Highbridge businesses and evolve the market space into something for all to benefit from and enjoy. While we only knew Joe for a brief time, his contributions to Solitude House, the Historical Committee, and the community will forever be a part of Highbridge's history. The committee will continue on with his ideas. Joe, we will never forget you. Thank you for the footprints you left in our town and in our lives. Our heartfelt condolences to his family and friends.
If I could ask for just a brief moment for silence. Thank you. Roll call, Adam.
Columbus.
Here.
Barry.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Strange.
Here.
And Lee.
Here. And no comments tonight. Motion to dispense with the reading of the November 18th, 2021 regular minutes.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Motion to approve the November 18th, 2021 regular minutes.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Motion to approve the November 18th, 2021 executive minutes.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Okay. On to something fun tonight. We have a longevity of service award to give out. Joe Trelone, can I ask you to come up to the microphone with me? So for, I think most people on council know, Joe has been our OEM coordinator for 25 years. Volunteer for 25 years in the borough of Highbridge. You and I got to know each other very well last year with COVID, and I couldn't have done it without you as new mayor. And I know the borough well before that, and will many years in the future will remember your service. So we would like to present you with this award, Certificate of Appreciation, awarded to Joe Trelone for the Longevity of Service Award for the completion of 25 years of service to the Borough of Highbridge in the capacity of Emergency Management Coordinator, in sincere appreciation of your dedicated response to life-threatening events, including major floods, hazardous discharges, and the COVID pandemic, with the safety of the citizens of Highbridge always at the forefront. The Mayor and Council of the Borough of Highbridge wish you a happy and healthy retirement from your post. Thank you, Jeff. do you, if you would like to say something, you're welcome.
Quiet, I'm good.
Okay.
And that says a lot.
Yeah. Thank you again, Joe. On to public comments. It is the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. Comments may be made on any subject pertaining to borough issues. Comments pertaining to public hearings should be saved for that section of the agenda. Each person may speak once during public comment section. No debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to mayor and council at the public microphone.
To be quick, Brendan Coghlan, 44 Mark Drive, High Bridge, New Jersey. I was saddened to see you folks pass the golf contract last meeting, increasing management fee Louis Casper Golf by 25%. 25% is a lot of money, unless you're raising the green fees an equal amount. That's just outrageous. I don't know how you came to that. I've given you a piece of paper to take a look at. 2007, we paid Billy Casper $90,000 a year. 2008, 92, 09, 95, 2010, paid him 98. In 2011, we paid him $101,000. That was the management fee. 2012, Mayor Desire and Council paid him $48,000. Well, how the heck did they come to that? Well, folks, the green fees and the golf got a management fee of $48,000. Food, beverage, and pro shop was segregated. So the opportunity for him to make his $101,000 lies somewhere in between there. How much money does a food, beverage, and pro shop make? You folks are about to put that out to bid tonight, and you really need to understand how that works. Back in '07, I took a deep dive on those books. Food was $33,000, booze was $17,000. Roll that up a little bit to 2011. Food might have been $45,000, booze might have been $25,000. Hit that with a 3 mark on. That's $70,000 times 3. That would put you up to about $210,000. Take a look at 2012. $215,000 came in. Billy got smart the next year and said, geez, I need to make some more money. Probably raised the prices if I went back and looked in the minutes. So he pulled in $263,000. That's about as much as that makes to this day. But as you look at these numbers, 2018, he made $68,000. And I got there by looking at the 10% that you received. I backed it up, and I know how much he made by looking at it. But he took a real beating in 2020. He only made $173,000. So he came to you crying poor mouth, oh, I'm not making any money. Well, fair is fair. He made $56,000. He had the opportunity to make money on food, beverage, and pro shop. It just didn't happen. You had COVID. And if you look at these numbers, the far right column, it says golf isn't making any money. I added the food too. It's just a declining sport and a declining opportunity. Billy knew that. Billy wasn't too upset, didn't want to get involved with the barn, didn't want to do that. You picked another vendor. But now you're challenged with your food and beverage. You're going to go out. You got to hire somebody. So how much money are they really going to make at the end of the day? There was a good synergy when Billy handled it for you. Now that you've segregated it, it's devastating, really devastating. Our fees have gone up 25%. I don't know anybody, I don't know the medical industry, pharma, I don't know anybody that got a 25% increase. So I need one of you to explain, other than it went out to bid. Okay, well, we have limited bid people available. Did you reach out beyond Billy and Kemper? Kemper runs the county forever, Billy runs here. Maybe they have a gentleman's agreement. They both start with $6,000, which is unbelievable. It just seems like there was something else at play there, but they start at 6, and Billy gets to keep the place. So I really wonder, how you got there. Could somebody speak with intelligence as to how he gets a 25% increase other than the bid? You should have refused the bid and got new bids for a lower amount. So I need to hear, how does it justify 25%?
Like you said, it went out to bid. We had 2 people that bid on it.
Why didn't you refuse the bids with that opportunity?
We need someone to manage the golf course. So,
Wow. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Taxes is killing
you're
us.
welcome. Thank you.
What did you say?
George said it went out to bid. We had 2 bids. Indigo being chosen bid. There's no option to refuse a bid. We need someone to manage and run the golf course. So that's the reason why Indigo is still working there for the next 5 years. To answer your question.
Hey, Sally Ward from Solitude Village. I have a question that has nothing to do with any of that. And it has to do with dogs, unfriendly dogs. I try to walk every day just to be well. And I've been doing that, but I've had a couple instances recently which scared me really a lot. I had been starting to walk down Tisco, the Tisco lane there, and it's been great and beautiful and wonderful, and I've just loved it. But then, a week ago, or a week and a day or two, I was coming back from my walk. I'm even remembering the fear that I had. There was a lady who had a mask on, and a ponytail, I believe, and a dog that was like a pit bull, like a pit bull or a bulldog pit bull. And she did not have control of his dog, and it reminded me of a dog that is in one of those movies about dog fights. And this dog started, lunging at me and growling and snarling, and the lady could barely hold on to it at all. It scared the heck out of me. And I'm thinking, and she didn't even apologize. She didn't say anything. And I said, am I in danger here? She's trying to, not flee. I definitely would not flee, something like that. But she didn't say a word. And then today, that same lady with the same dog ended up where I moved over my walks to in Clinton, and the same thing happened again. Is there anything we have in this town that can have a sign or a rule, some kind of statement saying any dog walking on public property has to be, calm? I mean, I could have been a baby in a baby carriage, that would have been a bad spot of news. So, do we have anything like that at all?
We have leash laws, they have to be on the leash.
It was not on a leash, it was on one of those harnessy things, and she almost lost him. She almost lost him, which means I would have been eaten alive. That's how it was. It was like, it was crazy. Do we have any rules stating that dogs have to be like polite or?
On a leash and under control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the typical rule. I haven't looked at the ordinance for the borough in a long time, but that's the typical rule. On a leash and under control and obviously under control is debatable, but it
Yeah.
sounds like she was able to hold back the dog enough that
Barely.
it probably would be considered under control, even though scary.
Yeah, wow. Is there a way we could maybe put up a little sign or something to tell people that? Because most people probably don't know that we have that as a rule. And maybe they would think that the dog wasn't under control because they were like being pulled like towards me. I mean, literally, the lady was being pulled towards me by this animal. And today too, same thing, different place. It's just something, because it scared the devil out of me, and I need to walk every day. And now if I can't go to Tisco, and Reservoir is dicey, I don't dare do the Columbia Trail being a senior on my own. So I, just want to be safe. So if there's anything we can do, please. Thank you.
Walker, Sylvan Road. Pardon me. First, I just want to thank George for his service. George and I didn't always see eye to eye, but I always came away from our discussions, feeling that George was really trying to do the right thing for the borough, and really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Just wanted to talk about, I see we have the Chapter 42 retiree benefits on the agenda again for tonight. You guys going to be taking action on that?
48.
Okay. Just a couple things. Again, as we said, for the last couple of meetings, the borough, the citizens haven't been provided with any backup financial information about the impacts of that. And I can't understand that, how that can't be in the attachments in our package that came out Tuesday evening. I just can't believe that you're not willing to share that information with the borough. It seems like you're doing everything you can to hide the information. I think that becomes a trust factor between the residents and the governing body, and I think that's a bad situation for us to be in. I know if it's good news, if you have financial information that says this is going to be good news for the borough, that would be out tomorrow. So that makes me believe that you know that this is going to be a problem for us. Was a financial impact analysis performed? And who did that?
A number of people.
Well, internal people?
No.
So then why can't that information be shared?
I think there's rules around worksheets and notes that,
I think you can share who the outside company that you hired, but at this point, the report itself is still a work in progress because there's been no vote, it's not finalized, it's still a working memo. But you certainly can mention the group.
But don't you think for the citizens, don't you think it would make sense to adopt the report, make it public, and then have another meeting to vote on this so that people can see what we're voting on? Or are you just keeping us in the dark? There's absolutely nothing.
it's not keeping you in the dark, it's just no way with this type of plan, with any benefit plan, to predict exactly how it's gonna turn out, because there are a lot of variables.
But you don't even have an idea, but you're not even sharing an idea with us. But I've heard different things that we say it's not gonna cost the borough anything.
I don't think anyone said that.
Well, it's all in an email,
Okay.
so, okay? And then, or we can handle, we can afford this. Okay, and I'll go to that point, just a little bit further down, but I'll jump there. We don't even have enough funds to provide statutory services in the way that they're designed. Open requests now are limited to Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because we don't have the staff to handle them when they come in. So I filed an open request on the 8th, no fault of Adams. I think the due date is the 28th. Okay, but we have money to pay people that are no longer working there. When you took office, we were using $500,000 a year to balance our budget from surplus. Now we're using $900,000. That's an 80% increase in how much surplus we're using. But yet we have money to pay people's benefits that are no longer providing a service to the citizens.
Well, that's not true.
Okay.
So if you read what's in the supporting documents, you will see that that's not the case.
What do you mean that's not the case?
It doesn't apply to anybody that's no longer working for the borough.
When they retire, they get benefits.
Yeah, but they're working here now.
Yeah, but they're not working for the borough when they're getting the benefits. They're retired and their spouses are
Making sure we're
getting
speaking
it.
the
Yeah,
same.
okay. Has the analysis taken into account what's going to happen when the police become part of this? It has, okay.
The
'Cause
police
you're
are not part of this. Police are not part of this.
Now, but you know that when all the residents, when all the other employees are in it, you know that's going to be a bargaining issue. And how are you going to stop that? Their chief is going to be in it.
Not necessarily.
We asked who the 3 people were, and we were told, and the chief was one of them.
He could
So how are you going to,
possibly
you're not going to
be-
bargain.
That's what I'm saying, there's no way to
You're not going to bargain,
predict
you're not going to bargain that
100%
away. The
certainty.
police aren't going to give that up, so the police are going to be in it. The police can retire after 20 years with no age restriction. So you have an officer that retires when he's 45 years old, you're going to be paying him for decades, and his spouse for health care.
It's incorrect, but anyway.
It's not incorrect.
It is,
Okay. You don't foresee that coming?
not at this time, no.
Not at this time, but how about when the contract comes up?
Well, then we have to deal with it then, so.
Right, so, but you gotta look forward. There's
Well,
no
we do.
planning. There's
So
no
last year, when
planning.
we redid the contract with the police
Right.
officers, we made adjustments to their health care benefits, just
Right.
like any organization does each year when they're deciding what kind of benefit plans.
Right, well,
To
adjustments were made.
benefit their existing good employees and also potentially entice new good employees.
Right, okay. Have you explored the impact that this trailing liability and these things are gonna have on our credit rating?
I don't think it, yeah, no.
Well, you can only, it's gonna affect.
Sorry.
Your credit rating.
Sorry,
That's 5 minutes?
That's 5 minutes, yeah.
Paul Kubiszewski, 66 Valley View. Some additional things on chapter 48, and I have a question, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question. When this was initially put in the agenda, the form itself was written so that it covered borough employees not covered by a CBA. That has since been changed, I should have brought my reading glasses, to 2 categories, non-aligned, hired between 1/1/2000 and 12/31/2007, non-aligned hired after 1/1/2014. So in effect, it now precludes those hired before 1/1/2000 and those hired from 1/1/08 to 12/31/2014. So it was changed after the fact, after it was put to vote. Who specifically are we now pulling out of this?
Any employees covered under that period?
But do we know, I mean, would that be you? Would that be your husband?
Yeah.
And we now have a third party evaluating this?
Yes.
Whereas initially we were going to vote on it without that, correct? Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. Public hearings, ordinance 2021-053, authorizing acceptance for deeds of alleys. Motion to open the public hearing.
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Carey.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Carl, would you like to speak to this?
This is, can I speak to it since I have to abstain on voting on it because I'm covered by it? Can I talk about it?
Yeah, well, you were in charge of
Who's got a
the...
house on an alley? This is special.
No, I understand that, but you were involved with the...
Right.
It
And
probably
you're
would be
going-
best if he doesn't discuss it, lead the discussion,
Okay.
because some may perceive that he'll slant the discussion, if you will. I wouldn't, I trust him, but, you just never know, what somebody might think. So it's probably better if he doesn't lead the
So I
discussion.
think anyone that lives on an alley remembers that the borough, several years ago, before I became mayor, gave the alleys back to homeowners that didn't really ask for it. So it kind of created a mess, if you will, because a lot of these new owners of this little slice of alley are getting taxed on that piece. Some want it, some don't. We tried to have a town hall of sorts, that was pre-COVID, actually, the initial one, even before Alan became council member. And we realized we have to break this down into sections. So there was one section, actually, this was the second one, if I recall correctly, that was handled, that the borough took that alley back. Alan was on one of those alleys, and so that's the acceptance that all the other residents signed on that this was okay. Going forward in 2022, I anticipate we attack, hopefully, a half a dozen at least of the other alleyway disasters. So that's where we are. Any public comment? No?
I do. A question.
Come to the microphone, please.
This is new to me. I didn't know that this is going to be head of your role. When I was on the planning board, I recognized this as a problem, and I asked the borough then, and it did nothing at that time. I'm going back about 20 years ago, about the alleyways. What was done? We found one of the problems we saw on the board at that time was that we didn't know where all the alleys were. What was done to find all the alleys?
You have to ask the former administration.
Somewhere, I mean, when you said you
They
gave
went
them,
through the
gave
zoning
them
map,
to the-
I'm sure.
The engineers
The tax
went through
map.
the zoning map, I believe, to find the lines and figure it out. I mean, I didn't do it, but I'm pretty sure the engineers handled that.
okay.
To identify.
I mean, there were
Connie, do you
an
remember?
awful lot of alleys that people had no idea they were alleyways.
It was from the tax map, studying the tax map with the engineers.
Is that right? Okay. 'Cause I mean, I would hate to see that not everything was accomplished that should have been accomplished. That's all I'm really asking and trying to point out. Because we came up with a lot that people thought was their property. They had it staked out as their property, and it turned out to be alleys. It was crazy.
And that was
Still
part of
is.
the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
who owned the alleys, who maintained the alleys.
Right.
And so the
And
move,
some
I
of
think,
them-
was to try to
some of
create
them
some
paid
definition.
as their own
Yeah.
driveway, and
Yeah.
they didn't even own the property.
Yeah.
It's
And many
continues
people
to
don't-
be kind of a mess.
And
Yeah,
people didn't view it
I'm
as a
sure it
public
is.
space, which it
I'm
is. It's an
I'm just
alley.
thinking that maybe, I'm hopefully you found them all, but they're.
We have them
awful.
all, it's just deciding what to do with them, because each homeowner essentially was gifted this new slice of alley, and they don't necessarily want it.
That's understandable, I mean,
So we have to kind of tackle it.
the
in
reverse
pieces.
also happened,
Yeah, yeah,
that people,
absolutely,
it
yeah. It's
got
a-
to be real bad issues.
yeah.
And although by statute, the borough did have the right to deed these to the property owners, but now you have practical issues that arose as a result of that
But-
statutory right.
But did the borough own them? I mean, the ones that you turned over?
It-
Because some of them were owned by Taylor Wharton.
The ones that were turned over, I believe, were all owned by the borough. And that's why the borough deeded them to the adjacent property.
Okay,
owners.
that I can understand. But like I said, we knew there were some that were owned by Taylor Wharton, because Taylor Wharton owns East Highbridge.
And that-
My understanding,
I'm
if
not
I
aware of
remember, was
that.
that all of those which had originally been Taylor Wharton and were used as access for delivering coal and such in the, back before all of us were born, I think, that they had been given to the town, and they just determined that all of them had then been transferred in that area, and so they were all town property, prior to giving them back to the residents. And like I said, the objective was, many people don't view these as a public space, because it doesn't seem like it.
Oh, yeah.
Some people have it as their yard.
That's why some of them weren't.
The town doesn't want to take care of them, I mean, that's, we're trying to eliminate things to take care of. Those
No, I'd
are
love
some
to
of
see
the
it done,
thinkings.
it should be done.
But obviously, there are people that were not happy about it as well, and, I mean, that's both sides of
It's
it.
tough nut to crack, that's all.
That's why it's
All right,
taken a while.
just one, okay, thanks.
Any other public comments on, or question on ordinance 2021-053? Motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2021-053.
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes?
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2021-053.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes?
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Steve?
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-054, water main improvements. Motion to open the public hearing.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes?
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
All right, Alan. Now you.
Okay. This ordinance is to utilize $180,000 of, I believe it's COVID-type money that the borough was getting to utilize for the water system, essentially.
The American Rescue Plan, correct?
Right, one of the designated uses is for water infrastructure, so that's what we chose to use the first tranche for.
Yeah, great. Any public comments on that? Questions? Motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2021-054.
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes?
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Motion to adopt. Did I just say adopt? No.
Okay.
A motion to adopt ordinance 2021-054.
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes?
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
Okay, Chapter 48 Insurance Benefits. Motion to take from the table and reopen discussion for Resolution 260-2021.
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes?
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
So I think everyone knows how I have already previously explained this. This is a benefit that's available through the state that we would merely be opting into. It would affect some employees that meet a certain requirement, 25 or 30 years of service, 20 years of service with the borough. Doesn't cover a lot of people, but it is a benefit. Other towns are using it, and I think it makes sense for the borough after much analysis, both within the finance committee and did have a third-party financial advisor take a look at the numbers as well. Would anyone else like to add anything to that discussion?
I mean, I will say the third party very expressly said that they were analyzing but not providing a suggestion in either direction. That they're providing just information, which was good information to see. I also received a spreadsheet, I assume everyone else did, from, I guess it was sent by Bonnie, I don't know who made it. I mean, it might have been Phoenix, I don't know who made it.
Phoenix made it.
Going ahead and out, I don't think I have it here, but, well, yes. And so looking at it, there are some options there in terms of, covering 100%, 90%, 80%, various percentages of those benefits going forward. One of the things I was struck by was that the chart ends in 2052, which is a long way off. I'll be old then. But one of the things I noticed is that right now we have no one on it. And as the next few years go on, eventually you're going to get up to, the current people having retired. And then those, they'll be receiving those benefits for a period of time before they pass away. Eventually, we hit a point where there was, I think, 5 names on this chart going forward at the same time. And I was thinking, well, if you have you have things coming in and things going out, birth rate, death rate, those kinds of things, there comes a point where it stabilizes and you can expect to have about this many on at all times. And it looks like that number is probably 4 to 6. Looking at this, I would think, just looking at the amount of time. We seem to hire people at an average age of about 32, based on the people we have here.
Assuming all those people stay with the borough that long, but yes.
Plus
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, people can come and go, you never know. But I'm just saying, the people that we've hired, except for the chief, who we hired at 23, everyone else we've hired a little bit later, 32, 33, whatever. And so, what?
I'd like to interrupt for just a second. You said that you think we stabilize around 4 or 5 people, but that's considering only people that are currently with the borough.
No. My point was that as that last person drops off, or I should say, as the first person who goes on, one would assume is older and maybe passes away earlier, not that I'm wishing that on anyone.
And spouses, too.
What's that?
And spouses.
And spouses, but you would assume the person that retires sooner would probably go off of the payments sooner as well. But when they retire, you hire someone else.
Right.
And so looking at that, if the person's hired at 32, they can retire at 65, that's about 33 years of time, if they work here for 33 years, it's a long time, where they could work and then finally retire. So looking ahead, if you add those to the chart.
We're not
it eventually,
talking in the audience because it's hard enough to concentrate as it is. Thank you.
I'm just saying, eventually it seems like if these people retire and then you'll hire this new person, by the time this person retires, that first person's dropped off, and so eventually it looked like it would stabilize at about 4 or 5 people, generally 6 people maybe sometimes, on these benefits at any given time after this all stable. If we don't add any other groups into it, that things like that could change. But based on it staying only the people in this pool, it looked like it would eventually stabilize at that. So that was what I was trying to look at it. Eventually, yes, it's what it is today is one thing, but what's this going to become as a long-term, consistent, yearly cost? And it looks like it'll be the cost of, eventually, typically about 4, 5, 6 people, their benefits being covered for them and their spouse, which looks to be about, based on these numbers, anywhere from, depending on the percentages and all those things, I think it was 180 to 150, or 80 to 120, and then the top one was like 105 up to 140, so like 1,000 a year, something like that on a yearly basis, as the long-term ongoing costs yearly, which is 150 is what, about 5 points on the something like that on the 5 cents on the tax rate, 5 percentage points, I think, if I remember correctly. So I mean, just That's my comment simply that that's what I was trying to look at. How is that going to be going ahead long-term, not right now? Because those people we hire that are, you know, to replace these people are then going to retire. And the first one will happen 2 years after the end of this, 3 years after the end of this charge possibly. If they work 33 years, which sounds like a long time, but yeah, it's what people do have to do.
I took a look at the same chart as you did, Steve. I tried to look forward at who we would hire after people retired, and I actually came up with a higher number of people that we would be paying retirement benefits to, more than 4 or 5. I got between 10 and 14.
Plus spouses.
Oh, I didn't include spouses, that is true.
No.
I was just looking at individuals, but still.
I wasn't looking at spouses
Oh, okay.
either. I was just looking at individuals. And Mayor, you may scoff at that, but have you done that analysis?
I have done the analysis quite a bit, and as you recall, this is the industry I work in for 20 years. So I do have an understanding of what things might look at like. And I think they're extremely unlikely we'll have anywhere even near 10 people 30 years from now on this retirement plan. But we can disagree, that's fine. And do you have any comments?
Yep, I'm not like.
Oh, sorry.
If you look on it, look at the cost on an individual basis. I understand, Mayor, that you don't want to look at it on an individual
I
basis.
do. We've had many conversations, and I have looked at it on an individual basis. But
If you take the numbers that were provided by Phoenix, and I understand these include increases in healthcare costs over time, but each individual over their retirement career, we call it, over their lifetime, would receive, by my calculations and by the spreadsheet that was provided to us, an average of just under $1 million per person. And I would hope that we could find some way to retain employees for a cost that is somewhat less than $1 million per person.
again, we have a major difference in how we view these figures, but that's fine. Like I said, we can disagree.
If you add up,
I know, but nobody
if you
does
add up
that.
one line item.
But
the
nobody
one-
does that. Even Phoenix doesn't do that. There's not an accountant in the world that's gonna tell you that you're gonna look at payroll costs on a cumulative basis. There isn't.
I think it's an absolutely valid way to take
Okay.
a look at it.
You can.
That if you take an individual, and the cost the borough providing to that individual as a retiree health care benefit cost, if you add up over time, the amount that we're paying out for that individual, and you come up to in excess of $1 million per person, it's a significant cost to the borough that we have to take into account. And if we can conceivably come up with a different way to retain employees, other than providing them with long-term healthcare obligation, we should investigate it. We should have options, not just this Chapter 48 resolution. Now,
Mayor, just to confirm, let's say we vote this in, right? Another, years down the road, another mayor, another administration, they could
Change it.
change it. So it's not set in stone unless someone is already on a plan, correct?
If they're getting a payment, if they're getting a benefit. they would-
If they're getting the benefit and they retired, right?
no, I believe it's anyone who has been hired
We can make
under
that
this
determination.
ordinance,
We
you
can
can't
make
take
that
it away from them.
determination.
If they work for the borough now, you cannot take it away from them. Even if you rescind it tomorrow, they will have,
We would have to make the determination. But yes, if no one was getting a paid benefit, we could absolutely change it.
I disagree.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you know,
I think if
my
we-
understanding was that we could change it, but it would be for people who were hired after we
Yes.
changed
The
it,
grandfather.
not for those who
Yeah,
had
we
been
could
covered by it for a
decide
period
if
of
we
time.
want to grandfather in people or not, but it's certainly something we could change.
I don't believe that's true. Mayor.
Okay.
That's not the way I read it.
Once we adopt it, anyone who is currently a borough employee and eventually meets the criteria, we have to provide them with that benefit, even if we rescinded it the day after we adopt it.
That's as I understand it as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct? Is
I'm
that,
trying to find it.
Actually, I'll defer to Bonnie on it, because she's the one who's been in the middle in terms of,
you can't rescind it. Once it's in, your grandfathered in, correct? You
That's
can't.
incorrect. If a person is receiving a benefit that they are retired, they would still continue to get that benefit. If we change it tomorrow and nobody is receiving a benefit, we could elect to change it tomorrow that they don't get it. And let's
Bonnie,
be
what's your
clear,
take on
we're
that?
only talking about really 4 people that will probably ever get any of these benefits. So,
Then why are we doing it?
but I think I've spoken
Why are we
enough.
doing it?
Bonnie, what's your take on that?
Well, as the mayor said, there's nobody receiving it currently, so.
But if it were to pass
Bonnie?
and it changes next year, that's grandfathered in for those 4 people
If
who
they
aren't
were
members.
currently retired, they would receive the benefit, right?
And if they didn't retire, they could still receive it even under that same, your grandfather in at that point in time, correct?
We would make that determination if we wanted to change anything about
But
this.
you can't change it once it's
You
done.
can.
Bonnie,
You
can you please answer the
Yeah,
question? If you can, without the interruption of the mayor, please?
Any new hires, obviously, you could defer to not be included in the plan. Anybody that is retired would be covered by the benefit. If you rescind it and they're not retired yet, they would not be covered.
You're saying that, let's say we have a current employee, we adopt chapter 48 as is, and they have, let's say, 20 years from now, they've finally gotten their criteria met. But the day before they get their criteria met, we rescind it. And, no, it's the same scenario.
I know, but
It's the
would the
same scenario.
council then say, hey, congratulations on your retirement, we're taking away your retirement benefits? That's a council decision in 20 years.
Let them finish, get to this point.
I'm
Are
allowed to
you
speak
saying
as
that we
well.
have the
I
right
recall.
to do that,
You can-
to rescind it? We have
Not
the right to,
stopping you, but you're
you're
stopping
saying we have
him.
the right to rescind it at that point in time, before they receive their benefit?
We could, yes.
I don't believe that's true. And I don't believe,
Let's hear from her.
It is true.
Let's
It
hear
is
from
true.
Bonnie.
In any case,
and I think we should have someone from the legal point, from a legal standpoint, weigh in on it before we even consider us, because we have a major difference in opinion,
Or of understanding.
of understanding of what this chapter 48 means.
but we definitely do have a major misunderstanding or disagreement on the rules. And that's all I can say. I would like to move this to a vote again, because I think we can keep going through this week or month after month, and it's not gonna change the facts. Similar to how Phoenix did their own analysis, which was very similar to the analysis that we did in-house, with the difference being the inflation factor.
Yeah.
20 grand.
Anyway, so let's move this, how do we do this? We add it back into the consent agenda? No, we,
No, I would vote on it separately at this point. It was not advertised part of the consent agenda. Should be, I believe, a separate vote. Yeah, the date says December 1 in the present motion, so it would be actually retroactive if you passed it.
which wouldn't make any difference.
Right.
So motion to adopt Chapter 48 insurance benefits.
No. Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
No.
Barry.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
No.
Strange. And Hughes.
Yes.
I vote yes.
I think you should recuse yourself.
How can you vote?
Because I think your spouse has the ability to,
No, he's excluded. Let's not even, let's
oh,
not.
I think.
He's excluded.
Yeah, just to be clear, because I did talk to the mayor about this issue, so I don't want her to be on the spot. He is excluded from this resolution as it is being passed right now. He is not entitled to these benefits when he retires. That's absolutely clear. So as a result, in order for him to ever get these benefits, the council would have to revise the resolution at some point in the future. since he's not entitled to, receive these benefits under this resolution, I don't believe the mayor has to recuse himself.
The percentage payout's at 100%.
We've already voted.
It's, the police get 80.
On to the consent agenda. Resolution 283-2021 through Resolution 297 through 2021. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Aries,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
and Hughes.
Yes.
Okay, on to committee reports. Councilman Columbus for golf.
Okay, golf committee met past Monday, Borough Hall. We have 2 members. Terms are expiring at the end of the month. Isabel, currently the chair, would like to volunteer for another term. The committee unanimously said they would love to have her back. That would leave 2 seats available. Please contact Mayor Lee, Isabel, Adam at Borough Hall, myself if you're interested. The bond ordinance was not approved at the last council meeting. As a result, Bonnie, Jay, and the town engineer visited the barn last Tuesday to determine what repairs were needed in order to properly store the carts. It may be an option to utilize Shop E in the event of extreme weather. We're still mulling that over. I don't know if that would work or not. The bunkers are still under an area of concern and may possibly fall under the redevelopment project to save some money. Highbridge DPW is still planning to finish the asphalt repairs, which will likely fall into next season. Indigo was awarded a new 5-year contract for the management of the golf course by town council last meeting. The food and beverage will be under a separate renewal, which will be voted on in a future council meeting. Indigo will operate the food and beverage under the 3-month contract as per resolution that just passed in the consent agenda. Indigo has done in my opinion, Indigo has done a great job maintaining the course. I personally thank Jay and his team and all of Indigo for their hard work at the golf course. 2021, we completed a structural engineering study of the barn for the carts, did an asbestos abatement in the lower barn, mini shed, starter barn was installed, lower pond bubbler was installed, new sand was installed at bunkers in holes 9 and 10. The control panel of the pump station was installed and functioning properly. Tee times were changed for maximum usage and state approval of USGA tees and scorecards. 2022, we hope we can get the barn repair, the sand trap repairs, and the triplex machine. Events are finished for the season, however, golf's still open. Still golfers out there, doesn't matter what temperature it is, they love to play. There's still the golf course had a successful 2021, including many events, but not limited to the Sekula Invitational, the Highbridge Fire Department Golf Outing, and Highbridge Residence Day. November rounds were up $774 for the budget. Revenue was up $5,773 the budget. Expenses were over $6,012 the budget. EBITDA was under budget by $239. Year-to-date projection, rounds are up approximately $2,900 a budget. Revenue's up approximately $193,000 the budget. Expenses are over approximately $22,600 a budget. EBITDA is over budget by approximately $171,000. So, an excellent year at the golf course. Personal note, I'd like to thank Steve and Leanne for both on your election and best on council. Thanks for your commitment. Appreciate it. I'd like to say I learned a lot while I'm on council. Enjoyed working with everybody, different committees. It's bittersweet leaving. I'm here. If you guys need anything, call me up. Thanks to mayor, council, borough administration, DPW, police, fire department, OEM, CERT, all the committees, volunteers. Thanks to my family. So, thank you.
Okay, the historical committee, December for updates, the committee hosted 2 holiday open house caroling events. Thank you to all who stopped by. The Solitude Baby Grand Piano was put to good use and kicked off the start of many more musical events to come. 2 Tisco winter markets were held earlier this month. This Saturday, the Tisco market will be held indoors at the Squad Building next to Borough Hall. Stop by from 9 to 3 and check out local artisans for your holiday shopping, and stop by and say hello at the Historical Committee table. Solitude store merchandise will be on sale. Tisco Market will resume in May of 2022 in memory of Joe Brennan.
That was it?
Councilwoman.
I know normally I have
Can you top it?
Oh, well, I was trying to reread this because it's like, okay. COVID-19 Ratepayer Relief Program information was distributed by PSA. Basically, Executive Order 229, which prohibits shutoffs of water and electric service to its residential customers expiring at the end of the year. This means that as of January 1st, 2022, interest and penalties will accrue on unpaid balances. If you need assistance, the state has a program called Low Income Household Water Assistance Program to offer assistance to water and sewer customers facing financial hardship. And in Hunterdon County, Family Promise is also offering assistance to residents whose rent is in arrears due to loss of income from COVID. Final debt service payments were made this month on the Green Acres loan for Springside and Solitude Lake acquisitions. And finally, the golf debt service was paid on December 1st. The final payment on the golf debt service will be made in December of 2022. Yay! And that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Short.
Very little to report since our last meeting, but the DPW will be, this week they did leaf removal in the Jenny Jump area. Next week they will be doing the leaf pickup, street leaf pickup in Solitude Village. Today repairs were done in Yard Street Tunnel, assuming that they were completed. That is good news. With regards to our engineers, we do not have a meeting with the engineers in November. We have a meeting upcoming next week, on Tuesday. I don't have any other updates.
Councilman Strange.
I'll start with emergency services. I guess first of all, I'll say congratulations to our fire chief, Chief Smith the Younger. We just appointed him our OEM coordinator. I hope that he can fill those giant shoes that Mr. Trullo has left behind. He certainly has left big shoes to fill. But Sean has big feet, so it'll be fine. In November, they put in a total of 25 alarms and 1 drill for the fire department, 547 hours. Total calls to date this year, 306 for the year. In November, they conducted their biannual coin toss. I hope everyone tossed some coins, and got 19 new sets of turnout gear for the firemen. This was purchased through a FEMA Assistance to Firefighters grant they applied for during the summer. The grant totaled just under $49,968. I don't know why they couldn't give them the extra $32, but almost $50,000. And I have to say that in general, I've always been impressed with they get a lot of grants. They work very hard, they have all their ducks in a row, and they do a good job of covering as many of the costs for this building and what goes on in as they can through grants. I feel like there was something else for fire, but I can't think what it is. Police report, we had 131 vehicle stops in November, and a total number of calls of 893 calls in November. Once again, down. Did I do that?
No, it was me.
Once again, down a little bit from some of the summertime. I guess, like I said, it gets colder, people stay home a little more. 3 adult arrests, no juvenile arrests. They also had various trainings, ABLE active bystander training for 5 officers, ICAT training for 6, radar instruction recertification, resiliency. pepper spray, oleoresin capsaicin recertification, pepper spray recertification. And then they also helped to set up the wireless network at Solitude House and had a tour of the headquarters for the county prosecutor, assistant and chief detective. We also have just tonight approved the hiring of one of our 2 probationary officers as a full-time officer, so Mr. Stein. So very good. I guess what we are, so we're going to have to look for another person. The chief, I know, is trying to work to slowly hire people so that everybody doesn't retire at once. And I will say that I had someone speak to me at length. What day is today? Thursday? Tuesday. Saying how much they appreciated seeing the police around, especially in the mornings when going to school. That the chief's always at the school, the elementary school, and seeing the cars out and about doing stuff and saying hi and whatever, in the mornings. It's a good thing when the kids are going to school and people are watching out for them. So it seems that our police make a point of that. EDC, I actually had it here on my phone. There was a meeting, very short, I was not able to make this one. I think a few people were not. Last week. It was Todd Honeycutt's last meeting as a member of the EDC. He's had enough, I guess, or something, I don't know. But, I want to say thank you to him for his service. He was always very much a person who tried to say, well, what can we do? What is the actionable idea here that we're trying to do? And, very much a voice of reason at times. We're kind of, in EDC, we had a QR code program trying to track what people were looking for around town and where they were looking for it using QR code posters, which we've gotten some data from. And I think one of the objectives is to maybe move some of that over to HPBA or another group to maintain, since one of the objectives is to see what businesses people are aiming to and what parts of town they're going to. So that might be a thing we aim to transition over to them eventually. And lastly, right now the EDC had purchased wayfinding signs. It was a project to guide people around town once again, to businesses, to fields, to trails, to whatever. Those signs, I believe, are in someone's garage right now. Of course, the big shutdown happened and they never got hung up. And so, that's something that the EDC is saying. I think the proposal's already in, and it just needs to be approved by the county police, and then DPW has to find time to put those things up. And so that is one more thing they're trying to wrap up a program from earlier. And there is a guy from Comcast who wants to meet with the EDC and see what he can do to help businesses in the town via Comcast. I guess he's just appointed or something. So he may be at the next EDC meeting if he's able to be there. And, of course, we're looking for someone to fill Mr. Honeycutt's shoes if possible. So there's a vacancy there. If anyone has an interest in participating in the EDC, please send your information along to Town Hall or me or the mayor or whoever you feel you want to contact. I believe that is it. Are you going to speak on recreation? Oh, I was at a meeting. I was able to be there. They invited me, so it was a rec meeting. We have one person right now on rec committee, but there are 4 or 5 other people that are, I think 4 names we have exactly that are interested. So I think we've got some momentum. Hopefully that we'll get all those people on there and we can repopulate that committee, which has struggled during the pandemic and all the other things over the last year and a half. So no other real news there.
Well, I just have a bunch of thank yous. Thank you, Steve, for working with the rec committee, and especially for finding members, because we had no rec committee at the beginning of January. Everybody had dropped off. It was like one person left or something. So somehow you talked enough people into it, I think.
Well, I'll say that I didn't talk to any of those
No?
4 people. I was actually Jill.
Well.
I said to her, hey, you should call me, but they really were all.
All of a sudden it happened, so it's wonderful to have a full committee again with that. And I want to thank Mia Baldwin. She remains on the Environmental Commission and the Green Team, but she was the chair of the Green Team and really got momentum going when we were working for our bronze. And she's got so much on her plate right now, she had to just come down off the chair. But I just wanted to publicly thank her because she almost single-handedly got us back on track where we needed to go. And I want to thank Mia and Pia, who just took over the job as chair, so that's kind of cool. And I want to thank Joe. All the years I've worked with you on OEM, you're just amazing. I love the emails that you always send. As soon as a storm is even talked about, you get us up and running and thinking about it. Your leadership, your organization, your passion, your knowledge. You were just the best, and
Thank you, Lorraine.
you're going to be
I
missed.
appreciate it.
You're gonna be missed. And George, way down there, thank you for all your efforts too, and your, showing up at events and things that other people are having and being supportive. So
Thank you.
good luck in your retirement.
Thank you.
I want to begin by just thanking everybody who helped support our Toys for Tots gathering of toys. We had a tremendous outpouring this year. We probably filled about 4 or 5 containers worth of toys. But we are done with that program now, so if you do have any other toys you want to donate, you'll have to find another resource right now. But I thank you all for that participation. I do have one update on the Krieger Road deck replacement. We did hear today finally that we are going to have a meeting with them in January to hopefully get an update on where they are and see, at least talk about detours and what else we can get involved in before they get started.
Is it still set for spring?
Okay. I forgot to mention last month that I attended the League of Municipalities down in Atlantic City, met with a lot of other mayors and council people and elected officials, a lot of good classes and continuing ed opportunities there. Hopefully get some of that knowledge and apply it in Highbridge. We started the trial with our friends at 100 West Main Street. So officially are in court. And I don't think I can comment on that, but we spent quite a full day there 2 weeks ago. And we have another full day planned in January. And just by what we're hearing, I'm hoping that they're starting to realize that they need to sell that piece of property. I wanted to also thank PD, DPW, OEM, CERT, everybody that, HPBA that took part in the middle school students, of course, took part in our annual tree lighting last weekend. It was a lot of fun, and it was great to see everybody. It's always, a joyous event, and I think that that's really the very best of Highbridge, that event. And also looking forward to 2022. We're going to start planning new committees, new council people. I wanted to thank George for your time on council. It's not always been, it's always been challenging, but at the end of the day, we do still smile and I think like each other deep down. So thank you for your time.
Thank
sir,
you,
George.
thank you.
And that is it. On to communications. Oh, legal issues, excuse, public comments. We got another round of public comments, please. 5 minutes per person. Let's get too far ahead.
Seven William Solitude. I just want to say that in the past year, 2 or 3 people who are in this room, a couple on council, have mentioned that they missed some stuff that I used to offer from my heart. So I just got to say, the past year, my creative stuff, I was just telling Lynn earlier, my creative stuff went like a nosedive, tailspin. And nothing was coming to me. It was a very hard time for me, very, very hard. So I went back to some of my old writings and tried to edit them. Some of them, every time I touched one, it got worse. So I'm like, oh my God. So I just, I've been doing a lot of walking in nature and reconnecting with me. Just, trying to get back in touch with the stuff that got all those other things born. And today I got a little something. Thank you. Just a little something, and it's for all of you, all of us. In the spirit of the season, that's what I call it. In the spirit of the season, when we're going from a time of darkness into a time of light. embodied spirit of kindness is ours to embrace and wear. Choice is simply our human will. I hope yours will be of kindness and care. The courage of kindness takes a brave, and warm heart, especially around others who can't quite yet do their part. So, in the spirit of this season, a time of darkness turning toward light, I hope you'll move with me into our new year with kindness, care, and more insight. Wishing us all much warmth and peace. Blessed be.
Thank you, Valerie.
Any other public comments?
Hi, Shannon O'Connor, 20 Main Street, apartment 101. I want to use the first 10 seconds of my 5 minutes to thank Sally. You are the spirit of this community, and you were my introduction to Highbridge when I first started to listening to council meetings, and I was so glad to hear your poetry again.
Well, thank you.
I've also been asked to speak on behalf of the volunteers of the Tisco volunteers working on Tisco Grounds for Art. They are finalized their intake form for art, and they're ready to start accepting submissions as soon as they get the go-ahead from all of you. So hopefully everybody will look out for that, and I know we've got a lot of creative people here. I can't wait to see what comes out of all of those submissions. I also just wanted to take a moment to say that I fully appreciate the concerns that are being brought up. I'm actually really grateful for them because I don't think about those things. But from the first time I heard that an ordinance introduced about the retirement benefits, it just makes sense to me from a moral standpoint. I grew up a little further down the Raritan Valley line, and I think the borough employee who gave my great-grandfather his dog license just retired a couple years ago. I also fully appreciate working in a small nonprofit, that when you're working in a small town, whether you're in the DPW or you're in the administration, you're wearing many hats. I don't think a day has gone by when I haven't seen the DPW truck passing down my street and going above and beyond. And so I absolutely understand the sentiment of where this is coming from and know that it's a complex discussion about how much communities can afford. But in the spirit of my grandparents, who probably made no more than $50,000 a year and still passed out 50s to the DPW guys every Christmas and Easter, I hope that we do move forward in kindness and we think about taking care of the people who do so much and probably do 10 times more than those in state offices. And just remember the salaries in municipal, state, and county, they're not that much. So hopefully benefits like this will make up for that and show our appreciation. Thank you, everybody.
This is not a comment.
Any other public comment? Legal issues, Barry.
I'm just going to comment that this has been a very quiet year in terms of legal issues. Thank goodness for the borough.
Yeah.
And it just continues to be a pleasure to work with the mayor, you and the council. George, I'm going to miss you. You know, and thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Communications, Adam.
We have the COVID-19 ratepayer relief notice in Spanish and English, the November zoning report, monthly tax and finance reports, and the hazard mitigation plan document, which accompanied one of the resolutions.
Bill list.
We have last minute adjustment, which brings us to $1,024,493.51.
Motion to approve the bill list.
Move.
Second. Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Clary.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strain.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
If there are no further business, motion to adjourn. We have our reorg council meeting, which is January 6th, 7:30, right here at the firehouse. Oh, motion to adjourn. Second. Roll call.
I'm sorry, who was my second? Columbus.
Yes.
Clary.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Strain.
Yes.
And Hughes.
Yes.
All right.